with Todd and Rob. Oh, yeah.
Well, it sounded like the audio kicked off a little bit late there. Anyway, Rob, welcome to the new media show. Here we are, and one thing that I'm learning is that OBS is an incredibly powerful
Yeah,
application,
it is.
but it doesn't have. Oh, I'm hearing you through my. Let me change this audio. It doesn't have the okay, there we go. That's better. It doesn't have the same um, ro- uh, robustness in recording audio as my TriCaster for sure from an audio quality standpoint. So what I'm
Yeah.
finding is what I record in the Roadcaster is a much better audio quality than what is recorded in
In Zoom. Yeah, on the audio side,
I mean
right?
in
Yeah.
OBS. Yeah. So that to me was pretty surprising from that. Every once in a while I get a little audio artifact, and they say it's all about levels, but I'm looking at these little meters here, and it's green, yellow, red, and we're well into the green. So who knows?
Right.
But is anyone out there? I have a tech support question for the audience. I've got a Elgato Facecam Pro, and at home it worked on my iMac, which still has USB connectors in the back of it. But
Yeah.
here I cannot get the Facecam Pro to work either on a Mac Mini or on a MacBook Pro using a USB C to, you know, the it's basically a converter. It
Yeah, it's
refuses. It says, I do
yeah.
not see a USB 3 device. It's almost as if the the MacBook doesn't have USB 3, which I know is not the case. So I'm utterly confused, and nothing is on the support forums that can help me. But I guess that's one advantage to a PC is you can be guaranteed to have a good a good connection.
So you're trying to go from a USB-C to a regular full size a USB somehow with a
It's basically, you know how on the Macs they do not have a regular USB port.
right. It's a USB-C port, right?
Right. And with that, um, it basically is just basically given me a middle finger here when it comes to it just doesn't recognize it. It says, hey, you do not have a USB 3 connection. That's the problem. So I don't know. Let me grab I'll show you one of the adapters I'm using. It's just a little itty bitty USB-C.
Right.
Yeah. And it's from Anchor, which is, I've used their products for years and never had a problem here. And this is, USB.
Does it say it supports
Yeah.
USB 3 on it?
Yeah. USB-C to USB 3. So basically, you've got USB 3 being plugged into it. Then you have the USB-C that plugs into the Mac. And it will not detect that Facecam Pro camera as and it's bizarre. Everything else works. So
Interesting.
It's a little bit annoying, but anyway. So if anyone out there has a solution that is used at Elgato Facecam Pro,
I don't even know that I've ever seen one of those before.
yeah, they're nice to. They're expensive too. They're a fantastic camera. And what's even more discouraging is they have it as part of. If I can show you one, it works with my what do I want to say here? It works with my um, teleprompter. It's a $300 camera. It's not cheap.
Hmm.
So yeah, I just showed the screen. You can't see it, Rob, but I just showed the screen on my screen um,
Oh,
of
on
what
it.
it looks
Okay.
like. But yeah,
Mm.
it's purely USB 3. So I don't know. We'll see if anyone has any suggestions here. So and another
Yeah.
change today is I can view everyone that is participating today. I can see your comments live. So a little
Oh,
bit
it's
improve.
all going into the OBS software
No, I have a separate
or
monitor over
something
here
different?
where I'm watching the
Oh, oh, I
I'm
see a
watching the
separate
YouTube
monitor.
stream and I'm watching both on yeah. Anyway, so I'm watching the streams. So the stream chats.
Got
And
it.
who knows, um maybe I can see the chats, who knows. That's live and learn with OBS. And there's so many different plugins at this point. It's crazy.
But you have to admit the OBS software that's actually free software,
Oh, it's
right?
incredible. Incredible.
And it's I think it's open source software is what it
Yeah.
is, and it's very capable software, but it has a huge learning curve to it.
Well, once I get the learning curve figured out and its
Yeah,
nuances,
yeah,
this is a complete, absolutely complete TriCaster replacement.
right.
And I actually bought a Elgato foot switch. They've actually got this device you can put on the floor. And
Hmm.
for I don't use it for this show because we're not switching too much, but I can actually step on this pedal and it will switch the view on me without having to use my hands. So it's just like kind of a
Oh,
drummer. I got this button
yeah,
down here.
right.
I jam on it, and the screen switches to the Chrome
Yeah.
browser and then back. And, instead, I've got also the little Stream Deck, and I'm able to switch back and forth with that too. So, yeah, I understand why people are using this software. It's very, very, very clear. But the only challenge that really remains too is because we're in Zoom, I'm using what's called a screen capture to put our images up on the screen, but it will not route your audio through the Rodecaster into OBS. So your audio is being captured off the screen capture. So again, it's stuff I just don't understand. And
Yeah.
I've been playing with the Rode for a couple hours today and could not get the routing. It would seem like that I would have one master recording with you coming in on the road, but it doesn't. It acts like it doesn't recognize the mix minus. So,
Yeah. Interesting. So you can't just hit record on the Roadcaster and capture it all, huh?
well, I can. That's what I'm doing.
Oh,
The
you can.
master audio will be
Oh,
over there,
okay.
which is the most important thing. So,
Right. Okay.
anyway, enough talking about me and the stuff we're trying to improve here on the show. But
Yeah.
I'm pretty pleased so far with the quality of the capture and the stream and everything else. So if any of you are OBS experts and want to spend an hour with Todd on a Zoom call, I would love. I'll pay for that too. If you're an OBS expert, I'll pay for your time. Um, just to give me an hour of your time, and we can. I'll pay you. Give me the schooling. So anyway, Rob, lots of stuff going on in the pot. And by the way, I do have a green screen coming, so hopefully next week
Oh, you do.
you won't see
Okay.
my cheesy background with my suitcase in the refrigerator in the background. So
Yeah.
lots of stuff
That's
going on. A lot of news, a lot of fun news.
yeah, it's a very real background you have there, Todd, I have to say. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, it
it's
is.
very, you know, authentic.
Well, can you, what's in front of me?
It's
Believe
not
it.
contrived like mine is to some degree, but um,
No,
with the
yours looks
colors and
nice. Yours is
well, I mean, it looks nice,
it's
but it's
pleasing.
not,
Yeah,
yeah,
my background
it's just
sucks right
not
now.
a natural kind of what most people have in their
No,
their
but
home or
it
something
looks
like that,
good, and
right?
this what I have looks cheesy right now. I don't know if the green screen will be any better, but
Well, I guess it depends on if you were able to grab a picture of your old studio so that
oh,
you could
that would
superimpose
oh,
it
that would
behind
be
you.
kind of cool, right? Yeah. Well, we'll come up with. I'll put myself in Hawaii or something like that. So,
Yeah, there you go. There you go. If you happen to capture, yeah, I've done that before where I've captured the picture of what my background looks like,
yeah,
and then I get a green screen and I've superimposed that on my green screen, and people can't tell that I'm not in my office.
yeah. So one thing my
So
mom was complaining to me about, she says, "You look like you're looking down." So what I've ordered is a little riser. So I'll
yeah,
put
it does kind of look like that, Todd.
yeah, so I will bring the laptop up about 4 or 5 inches, and hopefully then it won't look like because I'm looking down into the camera.
Yeah,
But if that other camera had worked, that's right there with my teleprompter that I'm using for recording videos for Blueberry. If that stupid camera had worked, I would be eye level, but it's just, you know, it's not
yeah, and
cooperating.
it's hard to align your video camera with what you're trying to see on your screen
Yeah,
too. It's
yeah,
either going to be off to the side or it's going to be right in front of your
yeah,
screen
yeah,
or it's going to be on top of it or something like that and it pulls your eye. So I'm
yeah.
always trying to consciously look at my camera
Right.
all the time
Yep.
while also but my big 35-inch screen that I have in front of me is such a big, attraction for the eye to
Yeah.
go right back down there again.
The big difference in when I'm in
Yeah.
Michigan is there's a big screen TV behind the camera, and I'm looking
Right.
at the big screen TV versus looking at the computer. Now I
Right.
have to look at the computer once in a while to make some changes or
Yeah.
whatever. If my finger knowledge is good, I don't have to look down at all. So,
Yeah, or if you have an outline that you're trying to follow or something
yeah,
like that,
yeah,
you've got to look at the screen
yeah.
to some degree.
And whereas the teleprompter, if I was recording these videos for Blueberry and I'm getting ready to do a session on introduction to RSS, we're building our podcast consultant course, and
Yeah.
the it's going to look weird because I've got the teleprompter, where my eyes now, and I don't know if you does it look like I'm looking up above the camera? Does it look more
Yeah, it
natural?
does. Yeah, yeah, it does.
Yeah, and if it looks a little weird, so looking into a teleprompter is going to be offset because of this camera location. So, yeah, you know,
Well, and also the the Descript software now has what's called eye contact
mm,
filter in it now too. I don't know if you've ever played
I
around with
haven't.
that, Todd,
No.
where it'll actually adjust where your eyes are looking.
Well,
So it'll point them right at the center of the screen. Yeah.
so
So it's
eh,
it's good for solo podcasts. I'm not sure it's a big thing if you're doing like maybe a interview or a group conversation, but
mm,
definitely with the solo shows, I think it's helpful to be looking at the screen like you're talking to one person that's sitting in front of you.
right.
So
But
yeah,
it's for a little. I took a picture of this. Actually, I'm going to do a YouTube video on this setup, and I'm overall, it's come a long ways. What really was the best investment, and it was an expensive investment, was the ZBEC monitors, XEBEC. And what it is I've got the MacBook Pro right here, and then two monitors that are off to the side. Um, that was the best investment ever, from a productivity standpoint, because I can have Slack running over here and another window there, and it's just like having a three monitor setup.
right.
Even though they are scrunched down, they're not, and I can flip them upright if I want. So that's always an option. But I'm actually surprised it all sorted itself out. I have a little hub now, and all the connections are recognized. That's the main thing too. Is get too many devices plugged into a computer, and
Hmm.
oftentimes the computers go haywire. Um, Teleprompter, two monitors, the Rode. What else? The Elgato Stream Deck, the Elgato foot switch. All of that's working, and you know, minus the camera. And believe me, I've tried to run
Yeah.
the camera with everything unplugged, and it still hasn't worked. So Okay.
So I
Anyway,
wanted to try and cover a little bit today, this kind of, I guess, question or theme or whatever you want to call it. Is your podcast ready for the future? As kind of like an overarching theme today on the show. I know we didn't really dive into that at the beginning. I've kind of promoted that in my metadata that actually went out on the show, but just talking about kind of the confliction that's going on in the space, and then a few other things. And I know we've talked, about some of these topics many times before on the show. And I think, Todd, I think we've gotten this feedback from the community is that they're sick and tired of hearing about AI. They're sick and tired of hearing about video. They're sick and tired, and that really comes from a place where generally people are resistant to change, and also don't necessarily trust what they're hearing, right? So there's a kind of a confliction going on in the space right now that people are either they're all pro audio or they're pro video or they're, and so we have this kind of, it's like everything in the world today, everything is split, right? So there's the yin and the yang. It's kind of the environment that we're in right now. So when people talk about, well, audio, then they're talking that they want to prioritize audio only, and then there's other people out there like going, oh, I want to do video only. And the problem is coming in is when you start talking about this in a combined way. But really, before I get in that, and there's a lot of articles that I put in our outline for the show today to kind of talk about some of these issues. And so I don't want to duplicate too much of what we've talked about in the past, but did did want to start off and say that there was a couple of interesting news headlines that came out in Pod News over the last few days, and one was about, and this one's a little bit funny as you think about it, and both of us have been content creators for a long time. Is it everybody's nightmare that a podcast where everyone is talking over the top of each other is the most irritating thing? So you have a podcast with multiple, guests or multiple co-hosts, and they just banter back and forth over the top of each other. And as an audience member, that can be a little frustrating, right? And also it can be a little frustrating for the editor that has to edit that podcast because they can't separate the two voices because they're layered on top of each other. Well, I guess there's a new AI um, kind of company. I don't know if they're pure AI, but it's called Audio Shake, that has launched a new tool that will separate overlapping voices. Todd,
is
what do you think about that?
is that really a problem?
Well, I think for some podcasts it is. Yeah, I think people do have a tendency to step on each other in podcasts. Um, you know, some people
So
like to talk.
okay, so if they separate that, then what do they do? Are they
Well,
stretching the audio? Yeah, are they? If they're separating, then you still have overlapping audio.
well, no, they take the different voices and they just pull them apart and then they put them next to each other.
Well, that
Is
would
would be
sound
my
very, very strange because what ends up happening is if you start talking and I stop. So there's going to be this, it would sound like as if you started talking right now while I was
right.
speaking. How it to me, then that audio would seem really jacked because it would be Todd saying this and this and that, and then Rob, you would be
It could.
and then you would pause because I was speaking and I would continue because it usually is what happens is someone catches one another. So I don't know how. What do you do? Just cut that other audio out? I guess that's the assumption is
Yeah,
that,
you just separate the two voices from each other and pull them apart, right? And then
well,
you
or delete
put
it.
them. Well, no, you don't want to delete it because what it's saying is that you have a tool that's separating the overlapping
Well, I know,
voices,
but
right?
usually one party will stop talking and wait till the other party gets done, then jump back in. So but for me, that way that tool would be useful is they separate
But
them.
then it's not. Yeah, but then it's not overlapping. So it's only going to be the
Right.
audio that's overlapping, right?
Well, if they separate the audio that's overlapping, you delete the section of the person that stopped talking when they were over talking someone and get rid of that so that it's just that one person talking. I would assume that would be the editing strategy because I'm not going to split you in the audio editor and move you
Well, that
further.
would actually cause potentially more problems
Right,
doing
because
that
especially if you're doing video too.
than actually just separating the two voices.
Yeah,
I mean, if
so
two people are talking at the same time, then you just pull those two people talking to each other at the same time apart.
yeah, and you kill one
So
of the discussions and you
no,
continue.
you don't. No, you're actually keeping both of them.
Why? That's
If
what
you,
then what's the purpose of this tool? If you're going to keep both
I think it's
voices,
to do exactly what we've said it is doing.
but if you're
Is
going
that
to keep
both people get to say what they were trying to say.
again, that
So,
only works in audio. If you're just doing audio, won't work if you're doing video for sure because how can
well, they're not claiming that it works in
yeah,
video.
yeah, yeah. So
So,
again, I think that normally what will happen is someone's over talking on someone. One of the parties will stop or both, and then you say, go ahead, right? And then the person will continue, and then the other
yeah,
person will jump back in. So I would see that as an editing tool to get rid of that awkward time
yeah,
so
where
that
the
it,
overlap
yeah, so
happens.
that it's
Right.
smooth during, so that way you're only hearing one speaker. Then, so I could see where that would be useful. I guess if you have 4 or 5 people on a
Yeah.
show, but
But it will create I think it will create a little bit of a different uh, audio experience from it too. Just like you said, Todd, people will say, you know, go ahead, Todd, or they'll just cut themselves off right in the middle of the word that they're saying
right.
uh, to let the other person talk. And if you separate that, then it's going to be kind of an awkward transition. So I guess if the AI is good enough, like a descriptor, whatever, that actually has audio cloning
Hmm.
built into it, you could kind of fill in between, I suppose. But it's an interesting thing. It's a little bit of a gimmick, I think, to some degree. I think shows that have overlapping conversations, I'm not sure the audience is really all that upset about it.
I think in
So
time, what will happen is all these tools are going to become synonymous. Everyone's going to have these types of features. So we're going to see lots of these types of announcements. My concern would be is this would be a one-trick pony. I've never heard of them before. I'm sure they have more tools, but yeah, again, I
yeah,
think,
I guess it's been built into the Wondercraft platform.
and I'm not even
So I
familiar
guess
with Wondercraft. Have you seen that platform?
I haven't seen it myself, but I've definitely heard about them before. So it must be a platform that does a lot of guests and co-host type of shows or something like
Hmm.
that. For them to prioritize it.
Right.
It seems. And then Pocket Cast came out with the announcement that they're going to support an open web player for everyone. That feels like a little bit of an old school thing to some degree, right? But it's an interesting move on their part to to go in there and make a web player type of a tool that works in a browser. Apple made that move a year ago or so. So, the support for browser-based consumption of content is kind of an interesting move that Pocket Cast has decided to do here.
Well,
So,
we,
and they're a big fan of RSS.
I think with
And yeah,
the ongoing, I guess it kind of leads to a thought I was running down on my other show recently. I'll talk about here in a minute. Um, there, what we see on people that do WordPress PowerPress specifically,
mhm,
as
yep,
compared to someone that has a landing page on Blueberry, their web viewing or web listening is multitudes higher because people are used to coming to the podcaster's website and consuming on the website. So we see as high as maybe 15%
Mm.
listening on the website for those that are using
Oh,
WordPress, PowerPress versus those that just have a landing page
oh,
at Blueberry,
okay.
which is
Right.
kind of, they're maybe not promoting that page. So
Is it better indexed in Google because it's a WordPress,
I think it's just
you
because
think?
people have a website. The listener
Oh,
knows they can come to the website and get the content.
yeah.
When I
They've
send
got
out,
their own .com and stuff
yeah,
like that.
when I send
Yeah.
out my newsletter, I send a link to my website and I send a link to my audio file, which in essence, if they get that email and they click on the audio file, it'll just play in a browser
Mhm.
window. And that technically is considered, a web play versus an app play. So we do still see good percentages. I think this show is 9 or 10% of people that listen on the web. Um, actually listen at newmediashow.com. So, which is surprising to me.
Or listen or watch. Do they
Well, kind of both because some listen,
both?
some watch.
Right.
So I'm not that surprised about this. It, it is an interesting move, but I did like one thing that they said here, and they're bullish on open RSS. They say future podcasting shouldn't be located behind walled gardens. So,
Yeah.
it sounds like
Right.
they got that quote from me. It says podcast belongs to people, not corporations, adding that podcasting is it. And I say is one of, I say is the last open
Yeah.
frontier, open corner of the internet. And we're here to keep it that way. So, um, I think more of this is needed
Mhm.
for people to understand that they're, you know, we don't care where they listen. That debate has sailed. But I like the rhetoric coming out of them for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I did notice, I went and played with the tool to some degree, and they do support video via RSS playback.
Right.
So, but it has the same challenge that Apple has, where you click play and you hear the audio, but down in that lower corner of the player on the browser, it starts playing the video, but it's in this little tiny, small little image that you then
Hmm.
have to click on again to make it go full screen. And that's the challenge that exists in Apple Podcasts
Yeah, I
too.
wonder why they did that.
They probably saw what Apple was doing and they just copied it. Would be because it looks exactly the same as what Apple's doing.
Hmm.
So, but they do have video in there, and it's you know, I mean, it's a decent sized platform. I mean, Pocket Cast is a
Yeah.
really large platform. It's just I'm not sure why they architected this to when you click to play what's obviously a video podcast, it just doesn't go to play the video. Why it has to prioritize the audio listening experience first. It's not like it's costing Pocket Cast to deliver that
No,
content.
I'm the
So
one paying
it's
for
going to,
that.
right. And it's not, it's, why would they not just click once and you see the video? I don't know why you have to click twice to see the video.
Do you
And
expect, based on and I haven't played with it, do you think, Rob, that most people that are going to use this are going to do it via a desktop browser, or are you just going to do it via their mobile app?
well, it could happen in both places. I
Yeah,
mean,
so what could happen on the mobile app, well, it doesn't make any sense because people are watching YouTube stuff all day on their mobile app. So it should be the same experience. That's a problem here. We need to make sure that if they're going to support open RSS and video podcasts, that they present that as a video podcast in the
it's a
platform. And
common problem across all of the platforms right now. Even, I even discovering a video podcast in Pocket Casts like Apple and Spotify's the same way, and I'm like shocked at how disconnected they are about this. Um, the only way that you can find a video podcast in Pocket Casts or even in Apple Podcasts is that you have to type in the search box the word video.
Hmm.
And the problem is that none of them are smart enough to know which of the podcasts in the directory are actually video podcasts.
Right. Right.
It's only searching on the metadata
Yeah.
of the title of the show. So if you
That's
don't
right.
have video in the title of your
Yep.
video podcast, it's not going to be found.
Yeah. That's why
Um, it,
I hate doing it, but I have parentheses audio, parentheses video.
yeah, well, I do it with all of the video podcasts that I do too. This one plus my podcast tips show, I do
Yeah.
the same thing. But it's just shocking to me how all these platforms are so backwards on this. It's not a hard thing to code to have a video experience, and I even saw it in Spotify. I was going to talk about it in here too, but these platforms, it's just I don't know what happened, Todd. I don't know. Is there any explanation you can come up with of how these platforms just got video just so wrong?
I
Yeah,
think what it was video was big in the beginning, of the
yeah,
early years of podcasting. You had
yeah,
some great networks doing
yeah. And it
video,
faded away, right?
and then
Yeah,
and then not as many people did video, became completely audio centric. And
yeah,
now that video is on the uptick again, they're flat-footed. They've fallen behind. Um,
yeah.
and
And
they
it's
never
yeah,
removed the functionality, but they made it a not even a second class citizen, a third class citizen. It's just driven.
yeah. It's
When
just buried.
you go to this show in Apple Podcasts and you get on the video version of this show, you would not know it's video unless you click in for more details. It won't show the video. It'll play as an audio podcast. So the
Right. I mean,
experience is
even though
horrible.
it'll show the thumbnail that we have up there, the cover art with the saying, video
You're right.
version or or videos, so a person knows this is a video version of a
But you have to do an
podcast.
extra step, and you have to know how to do that
Yeah.
step to get
Well,
to
and you
the
have to
video.
notice down the very bottom of the player at the
Yeah.
bottom of the screen when this little tiny video image is playing to the
It,
left of the
and
player,
I
and it's
it's amazing, it, you know, just I know Ted and the rest of the team are listening. When you guys are out talking with people in the public, and you're
I mean,
talking about
everybody's making this mistakes.
and you talk about Apple Podcast, you know, ask people, do you know that? Just ask someone, do you know Apple Podcast supports video? And I bet you 9.5 out of 10 times you go say, what? They'll have no clue.
Right.
Nary a clue.
Yeah.
So, because that's my experience. I show podcasters all the time that Apple Podcast supports video, and they're blown away. They're like, what?
Yeah.
And then, so I think the thing that I'm going to start reverting to is, and I need to check the experience on Apple TV, is maybe I need to start taking Apple TV to trade shows and having a monitor back there and have Apple Podcasts playing a video podcast to make people
Yeah.
understand that video. And I haven't checked on Apple TV lately of what the podcast experience. I'm assuming it's better. I'm assuming the video just plays.
Yeah.
And, and
I wouldn't make that assumption.
I've got an Apple TV. I got an Apple TV here, so
Yeah.
I'll test it
Yeah. I
today.
have one too. Yeah. I have one too. I've had for many years. But
But
I was just shocked. I went to go look at Spotify and what they're doing with this stuff too. And it's the their top navigation for their directory says podcasts.
mm-hmm.
Okay. You click on that and there's no way to discover video podcasts. The only way to actually even have a chance at that is getting into the catalog, and then there's at the top of the screen is a few more genre details, and there's a genre detail up there that says podcasts and shows. It's like a tag almost. It's like a tag icon, and you click on that, and it takes you to a page that has a list of audio podcasts as well as a row of what's tagged in there is video, but it's not titled as video. It's in this little tiny text on the screen. And then the only way that you can actually find at the top level, find video podcasts is you go into search and type in, just like I mentioned with Pocket Casts and Apple Podcasts, you have to type in the word video. And like I said, it it's only going to pull up episodes that have it in the
Here,
metadata.
here's the reason why, Rob. It's because they're trying to let's call
It's just
video a square peg,
it's just
and
it's
let's
just
call
lazy programming is what it
no,
is.
what it is they're an audio first platform trying to jam video into a platform that was not designed to do video. So it's in an
Well, no, it used to be. I mean, Apple Podcasts
I
had a
understand.
toggle
I g-
between audio and video at the top, and they removed that.
I agree.
So it was a
I
yeah.
agree. And but Spotify though, they're trying to, jam a square peg through a round hole and, completely bastardize the entire
Well,
experience.
they aren't going to grow the consumption of this stuff. That's the thing. They can want to be in the video business all they want. You know, get the content creators. I mean, even going over and looking at what Spotify's doing with Joe Rogan. You know,
Yeah.
I search for the Joe Rogan podcast in Spotify. The only thing that comes up is the video show.
Yep.
So where's the audio side of
There
that?
is none. Not to
So,
them. If you do video on Spotify, your audio is gone. Audio only.
well, no, well, supposedly it converts that audio version into a one that's based on the video, right?
The video
So
takes priority. The video track basically is priority. The audio is no longer.
it's it's no longer available.
No. No.
I mean, you can't just click on a audio version of
No.
the show.
No. This is the problem. That's
Well,
why people are losing money.
well, it just I can't believe how bad they got this. It's
Well,
just it's so obvious what the right thing to do
Rob,
is here.
I was in a call with Spotify and expressed this exact concern, and this is the road they've sowed. So be it.
Yeah.
Good. It's a bad experience on Spotify. Um,
Well, well, the problem is it's a bad experience everywhere.
yeah, yeah,
Based on what I've seen, it's bad at Apple. It's bad at Pocket Casts. I can't think of this explains why YouTube is getting all the attention right now is because they actually get video right. But their audio side is what's lacking on their side.
Well, one thing that's
So
irritating me about YouTube right at this moment is it keeps reverting my playlist on my personal channel to podcast. Now, I have two that are set as podcasts, this show and Geek News Central, but I have some other
right,
playlists that are
right.
not. And
But
it
they
keeps,
want to
and
tag it
I,
as a
as a podcast,
podcast.
it shows up now in my playlist drop down as a podcast. I have to go in and I have to, it's hard to find. I know where to find it now in the playlist to revert to make sure that the telltale
Hmm.
sign is when you go into a playlist and it's trying to ask you for an image for the playlist, you know that they've tagged it as a podcast. And basically, I
Yeah.
revert it, and you can't select. There's no way you can't change the what you want seen in the playlist is showing up first. They pick the rotation on your pod. That's another thing that's irritating. They present not your newest episode, but they present what they feel is the best episode for someone to consume in your playlist on your channel. So it's even that aspect. I don't have control of what is shown on my site as the newest video um, from YouTube. So uh, again, I probably should disconnect everything because I don't feed it via an RSS feed anymore. But it's automatic. Matter of fact, it's not tied to an RSS feed. It just has labeled those playlists as podcasts on their own.
Oh. I see.
So from that perspective, they're trying to force, like the podcast awards. It's a playlist for podcast awards. That single video was
Right.
flagged a podcast. So I guess if they see the word podcast or anything like that in the term, they just assume it's a podcast and flip the switch.
Yeah, Todd, I'm going to pull up a screen share of the Spotify experience
Yeah,
just so
go ahead.
I can share it here. Let me go ahead and pull that up here. So you might be able to see it here. Um, I'm not sure what you're able to see or not,
I'm
but
not seeing your full screen. There we go. Better.
okay, is it there?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a video podcast version of my podcast tip show.
Yep.
It's in Pocket Casts. And so at the very bottom of the screen down here is their player.
The
This is a
player.
common
Sticky.
characteristic
Yep.
that's in Apple Podcasts too.
Mm-hmm.
And even in their mobile app operates like this. And so right down here at the bottom, I don't know if you can see my
I can see it.
cursor
Yep, I can
down
see it.
here. That's the video right
That's
there.
so dumb.
And so, yeah, so you click on the play button here, and it starts playing down here,
Right. And then you have
right?
to
And then you have to
force it.
click here
Yep.
to get the full version,
Right.
right? So there's 2 clicks involved in this.
Yeah, they shouldn't
And
do
that's
that.
that's the core of the problem, is that if a person clicks to play a video show, they should just take you to this page.
I agree.
Yeah. So it's giving people too many steps that they have to step through without a real solid clue
Mm-hmm.
that the content's playing. And this is a common problem across all of the platforms. And I don't know, maybe they just don't care about video, Todd. But it, based on the rhetoric that we're hearing out of Spotify, they care a lot about this, and this is the
Well,
same kind of garbage that's going on at Spotify too.
again, the rhetoric we're hearing out of this is they probably have a better monetization. Well, according to the podcast, they lost money, but yeah, they want to compete with YouTube. So they're in for a penny, they're in for a pound. They have to, regardless of the results, they have to tout the party line here and say that video is wonderful.
Yeah, and here I can pull up what the Spotify experience is too, as a contrast, and I can navigate around in there, and you can kind of see what I'm trying to say there too. Here, let me pull that up really quick. Okay, here's Spotify, and okay, it'll load here in a second.
Yeah, I've got it.
This is this is their all screen for their directory,
Yep.
right? So this is showing music, it's showing podcasts, audiobooks. So you click on podcasts, and this is the default page that it lands to.
Just shows album
And
art.
it just these gigantic tiles
Right. That makes you
of
scroll.
big shows,
Yeah.
right? And there's no interface here that says go watch a video or go watch an audio.
Are they
It's
prioritizing
just
those that are video though? So if you scroll back up here, I see a couple of them that I know are
no.
video.
Yeah, but it's not obvious that they're video.
Yeah. So click on
I mean,
the Sean Ryan show. What happens when you click on his show? Because I know he does video.
well, this is audio only because
Oh, really?
I've actually clicked on that.
So he has a huge YouTube presence. So he's not
Oh, I
doing.
know he does.
He's not doing.
No,
video
he's not
over
doing
there.
any video.
Oh,
So, you look at this and then you go in here and you do a search for Joe Rogan.
yeah. It just comes up immediately. You got 3 words in. It's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it says it's a podcast,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you click on that. It goes in here and it's the video podcast.
So go ahead and click play on that. So it starts off
It does the
as
same thing. It starts playing down here.
where I don't see a
Down here at the
I
bottom
don't
of
see
the
a
screen.
video at all.
Yeah, you have to click on this.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, that's see, I don't ever go in Spotify. How do you even see
Yeah.
the video? I don't even see how you get to the video.
Yeah, it doesn't actually give you an easy place to click
Yeah.
to actually do that.
So you don't I
I don't know.
yeah, you don't even know
Yeah.
how to surface the video. It just plays as audio. Isn't that funny? Huh.
Okay, so I I clicked on a little pop-up.
Oh, and it opened
I
it
don't know
up.
if you can see that
It's
though.
you'd have to drag it. It's kind of yeah, yeah, yeah. There, I see it.
You can see it. So,
Yeah.
okay, so that's the video.
Oh my God, what a horrible experience. Now you're doing it on a desktop. Is the same experience on mobile?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'd have to check that out, but this this is not a good interface
Well,
for
again,
them to get people into the content.
here's the funny thing.
I mean,
We have to look at it on a mobile device and see what it's how the experience is different. But
yeah.
they built this platform to be audio first, and
Yeah.
they have jammed video in here as a secondary opportunity, and they're talking about it, and their UI UX is not caught up. I'm
So
sure
my oh, go, yeah,
I'm sure
go ahead,
most
Tony.
people do not consume Spotify content on a web browser. I do because I don't have the Spotify
Right.
app loaded on my phone.
Well, but they should have a consistent user experience,
Right.
and that's the other issue. If that is the fact, then they
Well,
should have
what you need to
a
do, Rob,
prioritization.
is you know, look at Spotify in your phone and see if you see the same experience. Because
Yeah,
maybe they've optimized for now Pocket Cast. They admittedly went web, but I haven't
yeah.
looked at Pocket Cast in a little bit on how it supports video. We did Mike gave me an updated list. I wish I had it. Mike, if you're listening to the show, he may not be because it's late. Um, fire
I
me
mean,
over. Go ahead.
all they would need to do is put in two play buttons here, one that says play video or just titled video, and then one that says audio, and and give your users a choice
Yeah,
of what they want. And then if they click play video, it takes over the screen,
yeah,
plays the video, or it at least pops up a player onto the screen like what this one does. It just pops up this player, and the user can expand this, or they can watch it at this size. Give the option to the user, but
hmm
have that trigger an actual on-screen video experience. It's really not that hard here, guys. Um, if they want to grow this, I mean, YouTube would never make this mistake.
no,
And I do watch Joe Rogan's podcast occasionally on my Roku TV in the Spotify app on my Roku, and it does a good job over there. I'll go to the Joe Rogan page just like this, and it will pop up full screen. So I think they know how to do it, but maybe there's just some bias because it's in a browser, like you were saying, is that people are defaulting more to audio. But are they creating that
yeah, I'm not
type of
sure. I'm gonna
result?
I'm gonna
Oh,
look at see if I can find this doc video podcast supported in apps because I know Mike did this for me. Of course, I'm not gonna be able to find the doc here on the fly, but we actually maybe it's in. Let me go to roadmap. I definitely don't want to share this screen because it's my secret roadmap document. Um, let's see if Mike pasted it into the roadmap. Um, no, he did not. He basically created a list. It was pretty long on the number of podcast apps now that natively support video, more than we
right.
thought, because we tested all of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
I'll try to get that list for another show as we went through and basically looked at 40 apps or something to
Yeah.
do this test. But yeah, well, who knows what they talk this big talk, but then they're not presenting it well. Um, but it does lead into what you've got in your show notes about, can your podcast survive if it's audio only? And we know that's a resounding yes. But I did not read this article from Rachel. What was her
Well,
hypothesis? Or
I think it's a mixed bag, like everything on this topic, right? It says while video is an important part of your podcast strategy, I think that's her kind of default thought. Uploading full episodes of your video podcasts isn't essential for success. So it's a it's it's a little bit of a mixed bag, and it does depend on what kind of show you're doing,
yeah, there
and
was
it
a
does,
there
yeah.
was a extensive. I got some viral feedback on a post I made on Facebook. Let me go down here and see if I can find it. I had posted more than a week ago, um, to the effect that is this the one? The grass isn't greener. Oh, this is from that. No, no, no. I got to go here. Let's see if I can find it. No, but it's not this. I did this pretty good post on who controls your brand, rethinking creator dependence on big platforms. I get a lot of commentary on that one. Oh, I know where it was. It was on Facebook deciding that they're not going to keep live videos for more than 30 days.
Oh, yeah, right.
And
Yeah, they're not going to archive all your
yeah,
old
well,
videos.
maybe it
Well,
wasn't
Facebook
here.
never really built a video platform
Yeah.
to expose all those archive
Gosh, where is that
videos too.
commentary at? Because I got a pretty big pushback from one of our listeners. Oh, I'll find it here. But his contention essentially was that, why not? Why not do video? And I'm just like, again, there's a lot of considerations that I think that's was his contention. I apologize. I'm going to try to find his comment here.
Well, if you're burying the content in your user experience and not giving people good access to it, and it's not searchable and it's not delivering results back for the platform, then yeah, you're more likely to kill something. I mean, a lot of these I mean, I saw this happen when I was working at Microsoft, where, a lot of the things that they kill off because they just built them bad,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, you're just, it's kind of like having, an injured bird or something like that. Your solution is not to heal the animal or the bird. It's to just finish them off,
Yeah, it looks like
It's like,
it looks like where is this? This is what drives me crazy too. Is on Facebook they suppress. There's 7 comments here, but I can only see one of them. How come I can't see
it's the most
all?
relevant ones is what they want to show you,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. All show all comments. All right, where are they? It's in this post because I did an interview with Daniel J. Lewis, and it was audio versus podcast, and I was not complaining at all about Spotify. It was just we're having this conversation, and
Right, right.
I don't know. Maybe the author removed the comment. I just don't see the thread anymore. Oh, that's horrible because it made a good point. It was one of our listeners that listened to us on a regular basis. I don't know why I can't see the comment. Hmm. Naughty, naughty, you, Facebook. Naughty, naughty. Yeah, I didn't hide any posts. So, well, again, it made a good segue there, but we blew it because for some reason I can't see. Why would Facebook? Oh, view more comments. Oh, it's only still shows. Oh, what a bunch of pot lickers.
Well,
Yeah. Anyway,
Facebook, I'll say, is a little bit of a disaster zone when it comes to to video, and it's the same thing with Instagram.
Yeah.
It's a disaster as well. I mean, they tried to foray into live video, and they just made it a cumbersome mess. I stream live via StreamYard, and I have the option to go live on Instagram, but the problem is that the configurations to make it happen is just a huge distraction from actually doing the content.
Yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
start the stream, and you have to go into Instagram, and then you have to turn on the stream, and you have to make sure it's working. And it's like, really, I mean, all the other platforms, you just hit live and it goes live, and you can start doing your show and not get caught up in all this, you know,
Minutia.
turning it on and stuff. Right. It's like, come on, guys, it's not that hard.
Yeah. For me, it's the hard part now is figuring out OBS.
Yeah, right. Right. Well, it's just too many choices in that software. It's kind of like trying to learn like Audition
Yeah.
or all of the Adobe suites of products, or there's huge learning curves in those things.
So there was one.
So
You made reference to it in today's show prep notes, which Rob is
yes,
actually doing now, talking about this audio versus video 2025 fiercest fight. And I just laugh at this. That's a total clickbait to begin with. But
it is. It is. Yeah.
um, I guess I can say I'm going to agree to disagree with his article. His contention was that it's easier to do video than it does audio, which is not true. Absolutely not true. He says you can do a video podcast, and then obviously if you do a video podcast, it's easy to have an audio podcast. But to
Yeah.
have an audio podcast, to do a video podcast, there's plenty of tools that automate that now. Headliner automates it. We automate it. It's just a one-click deal. It's not that complicated if you're not a video
Right.
first creator. So I don't know what platforms he's using, and I understand, if you want to be a video first person, that's fine. You can still have an audio podcast, and we played
Yeah.
into that with our VidPod
Yeah.
tool.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
we also have Pod to Vid, so that we have the reverse of that. Um,
Yeah.
it's going to take time one way or the other. You're gonna pay the piper one place or the other. But again, one thing that I would say is, like we were showing the screen for Spotify here a few minutes ago, the listeners of the show were
Good to see
clueless.
that. Right.
They're going on our visual description. So is that
Mm-hmm.
enough to annoy someone? Say, I can't see what
Yeah.
the hell you're talking about. So,
Yeah.
you know,
It can. Right. I
yeah.
agree with you, Todd.
So this is
Yeah.
a challenge for anyone doing video first, is if you're going to be showing stuff off, you have to remember how not to disenfranchise the audio audience that you want. It's not an issue when you're just doing audio only, because you have to do theater of the mind and remember
Yeah.
that people are listening first. Just like this show, they're 70 to 80% listen first versus watch. So, and we have to.
What's different here, and yeah, I mean, what's different here is that if you're a video first creator or podcaster, um, you're not going to be as concerned about the audio
No,
experience.
no,
I
you
mean,
won't.
that's what I found was interesting about this particular article was is it's such an indication of how confused the market is about what's going on, and what the how complicated this is. It's easier or it's simpler to get started. There's less complications. I don't have to worry about lights and fancy cameras and trying to look good on camera with fancy backgrounds
Hmm.
and things like that. That that you don't have to worry about. You can put your microphone in your clothes closet and record your
Yep.
episodes and move on with your day. But that's what's complicated. And you start looking at articles like this, and you're like, this is getting really complicated, right? People are starting to think that they have to, create a podcast studio in their home that has multi-camera shoots. This whole thing of making your video experience seem like you're comfortable sitting in your big chair in your
Hmm.
living room, and you've got comfortable furniture, and
Right.
that homey aesthetic behind you, and that's kind of the atmosphere that you're seeing in a lot of the video podcasts right now, especially ones that are being seen as video podcasts, right? That are also making their shows available as audio as well. And so there's this elevation of expectations around what you need to do this, what the expectations of the market are, which I do believe many of the things that they talk about here are actually true. It just depends on what you want to do as a creator, you
Right.
know, and and thinking about this and this anticipated trends of 2025, which has been with us for a long time, and that's the professional setups, right? The people are increasingly preferring to use small lavalier microphones, small handhelds that they can hold up to their, you're seeing it in TikTok videos and stuff like that going on a lot too. So these small handheld mics, but they're usually wireless mics, and in-ear monitors like what we have here, Todd,
Right.
which is something that you would do if you were kind of a video first creator. Because if
Well,
you're not, you're going to have these big headphones on, right?
yeah. Well, the reason I went to in ear was aesthetics
Yeah,
and
right.
also comfortability.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Those big headphones can irritate your ear too.
Yeah.
You know.
When when you sat with those for 40 hours at CES, my ears would be raw, from
Yeah, sore. Oh, I've had it happen to me too. Actually, you know what when I was on the radio, you know how I use those headphones is I would have one of the headphones on my
yeah,
ear and
off
the other
ear.
one would be
Yeah.
off my ear.
Yeah, you can tell radio guys they do that a lot.
Right. So I could hear myself speak in the real world, not just on the microphone, but I could still hear myself on the
It
microphone. So
amazes me
it
some of the
gives you
really
both.
super high number video podcasts that are still using big headphones. I'm just like,
Yeah.
why haven't you
I
went to
always laugh at that.
why
Yeah.
haven't you went to in ear? You've got the microphone coming in low, coming up versus on the side like here. My setup doesn't
Yeah, but
allow a boom to come under. But why are you
but you
wearing
still have these big
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 cans on
honking
your head?
headphones.
So it's to me it's a little bit funny. Um,
Well, I think it speaks to just the confusion in the marketplace around expectations and what is possible. Probably a lot of those people don't even know it's possible to get the in-ear headphone monitors, right?
yeah.
Um, or where to get them, and there's a perception they're expensive or something like that, which they are not expensive, but it's just one of those things. I think you can spend a lot of money on them. I
Yeah.
don't know how much you spent on yours, Todd, but I only spent like $25 on mine.
For your in ear, I went a little bigger,
Yeah,
obviously. And the reason I went with the ones I went with, the Shure ones, you get up into like a little under $200,
200.
is
Yeah,
you can buy a new cable. So the connection cable
yeah, I have it
here,
here too.
this cable can be replaced. You see, I got it plugged
Yeah, I have
in.
the same thing.
So
Right.
so if these, as a matter of fact, I've got a backup pair. So here's my backup pair. I wore these for 10 plus years.
Yeah.
These and you can see they're green from sweat or whatever's gross. But on here they've got the, for those of you that are listening, I can this
Unhook
section
them
can come unhooked
is replaceable.
and I can replace
Is
that
replaceable.
cable and also the buds. So I can, matter of fact, these are probably due
Yeah.
for a change. But again, this is my backup in case, you know, I lose the other ones. Of course, they're not going to go very far here in this apartment. But it's just force a habit. I'm like, I have an extra pair ready to go just in case something goes sideways. So I again, I think for me, the reason I went with the little more expensive ones is I've had these now for 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah. I've had mine for a few years now too, but they're not expensive. I mean, you can just get them on Amazon,
Yeah,
and there's lots of them to choose from. But even things like these booms, like we
yeah,
both have, right? Those are increasingly becoming kind of passe now.
yeah.
Um,
The ones that
there's more
come
and more.
The one I
Right,
did
up
comes in
from the bottom
from the
up.
bottom, and
Right.
those are cheap.
I can I can kind of simulate that
Yeah, but it
with
doesn't
my
sound
boom.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not as good, um, but yeah, I have a mic stand too that I could put right in front of me
With
right
as much
here.
stuff as I have on this desk, I can't. That's why I switched it in Michigan to the one that comes from under up. But
Right.
here I can't because I don't have the real estate for the desk to support it. So
And I guess the goal is to just kind of take the geek out of the screen so
yeah,
you
yeah,
just kind
yeah.
of see the person and not.
The problem I've
And
had
that's
with
why yeah,
the problem I've had with wireless, or not wireless, but going with a lab is I've never really gotten the same audio
audio
quality.
quality.
It's
Yeah, I've
always
got a lav here too that I could turn on in a second, but the audio quality is not
yeah.
anywhere near
And
what
even
this
I
is.
have some expensive labs that I've used through
Yeah.
the years on interviews on show floors, but still they sound to me.
Tinny,
Yeah,
usually.
and also you can really detect when you don't have a room that's soundproof. Like this room is not soundproof at all.
Well,
You know,
because all those lavaliers are condensers.
yeah,
So that's the only reason that they're going to work to pick up the audio is they have to be sensitive.
I've got
These,
tile here, no carpet whatsoever on the floor. I've got a
yeah,
couch, a bed, but this room
yeah,
is. I mean, you can hear it a little bit in the sound, but this room is not at all conducive for. It's a concrete box, is what it is,
yeah,
uh, and maybe at
yeah.
some point I'll buy some sound dampening. But I keep thinking about the more stuff I buy, if I ever, give up this apartment, I'm going to need 3 suitcases to take everything home.
Right. Yeah, that's true. So, and I think we are going to see as we look to the future, kind of podcasts becoming seen as TV shows. This line between what a podcast is and a TV show concept are going to be blurred. And I think it's already there.
It already there.
Yeah, it's already there. It's
Yeah.
already there, really.
And it really is about the aesthetics. That's the main difference. You can tell I'm not in a studio. You look like you're in a studio. I look like I'm in an apartment, which I am. So it's an aesthetics thing. So we'll
Yeah.
see. And and there might be a few things I can do here. Might be able to turn the table different, but I'm I'm in a 47 square meter studio, so there's not a lot of room
Yeah.
to move things around to make it more podcast friendly.
Yeah. I'm not in a big room either. It's a 12 by 14 foot bedroom.
Yeah,
So it's not that big either.
my working
So it's,
area here is 4 feet by 3 feet. By the
mhm.
4 by 4 square is my little working area, and
Yeah. And this whole setup that I have really takes the whole bedroom.
yeah,
I mean, there's really nothing else in here other than my dining room table. That's my desk.
yep.
It's large. It's like 6 feet wide by
Why didn't you
four.
buy a real desk, Rob?
Because I had this already. It's a wood desk that's got great support to it. It's big. It's
Oh, okay.
about it's almost 4 feet deep by 6 feet wide.
So lots of room to
So
put papers and stuff and have clutter.
no, I have lots of computers and I have like 3 monitors in front of me and a teleprompter and all sorts of stuff. So
Yeah, yeah.
it it the space on the desk gets used. So, but anyway,
Oh,
that's
I'll take a picture of the space I'm using. I think you'll laugh a little bit.
yeah.
By the way, we are lit and live again. I did get the a cable replacement. The first one came was a quarter to a quarter, even though I did a quarter to a mini jack. So I had to order again, but the cable came in yesterday, and so
Yeah.
everything is working. We're streaming live for those of you that may be listening to the show. We do have folks that have been streaming the show. We want to appreciate those stream sats that have come in, Darren Schwartz and others that are listening to the show with a modern podcast app. So Rob,
And you do have to be. Oh,
go ahead.
go
No,
go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Todd. Yeah, I think if you're going to do video, you do have to think about visual elements. And I think I'm increasingly adapting what I'm saying to creators now to if you're just doing audio now and if you want to get into video, just go into it very simplistically. Don't go in all in. I mean, all of us have smartphones, right? So we can do vertical videos that are in addition to our audio podcasts and just put those out as shorts and hopefully build your personal brand and just keep it simple, and pick maybe one or two of the vertical video platforms to work with. It probably preferably YouTube, but TikTok is a good one too. And just use video as a supporting tool to drive attention to your podcast. And if
25
it's audio
days, Rob.
only,
25 days on
right?
TikTok. So we'll see if it gets done.
25 days towards what? It
To their
it's
reprieve. Till their reprieve is over. So they were given a
oh
75-day extension to get her sold.
oh so okay. Also, it could be shut down again. Is
I
that what you're
doubt
saying?
it. I doubt it. I think if there's a deal in progress, they'll probably extend it. But yeah, they got 25 days left on what Trump gave them for an extension.
Yeah. A lot of weird stuff going on in the world these days,
Yeah,
isn't it, Todd?
that's an understatement. Craziness going on here. Of course, I don't talk politics in another country, but they just arrested the former president here, and yeah, not pretty.
Not good, huh? Yeah.
No, not from a um, just one of those situations where you're out and about and you see a protest go wide. Don't wander into the middle of it.
Yeah, kind
not,
of
not good for
walk
one's
around.
yeah,
Right,
or
right.
avoid completely.
Yeah, right.
Of course, a little
Go
bit of
over
that
a
going on,
couple of streets.
a little bit
Right.
of that going on in the U.S. as well. So
Yeah. It's a
I
tough time to own a Tesla. I'll just put it to you that way. So, but anyway.
have we run out of
So,
stuff to talk about, or we still got
well,
more?
I mean, unless you have anything to talk about things that you've noticed or people are talking about right now that's kind of new, is there anything you've heard?
The only thing I'll go back to is we're doing deep analysis now every week. How many tickets we've
Hmm.
we've looked at? What are the top 3 to 5 issues people are having on the platform? And we're tagging support tickets now, whether it was PowerPress or was Dashboard or Premium Podcasting or the Pi or whatever it may have been. And
Hmm.
so far, the number of folks that are asking questions specifically about video is almost nil. So, the number of people that are coming to us asking about video is not even really on my top 20 radar at this point, even though we're going to adopt some things here soon and have a better plan for those that want to do video, but it just doesn't come up um,
Hmm.
in the discussion. So I'm sure what has happened is that those that have decided to do video, they're just going straight to YouTube, um, which is
I
fine. And
I
those,
would tend to agree with that,
yeah,
Todd. I mean, just look at the overall numbers of how many people have YouTube channels
yeah.
now.
Well, the numbers
That
have always been extraordinarily high, but again, the number of
yeah, they have.
successful
Yeah,
YouTube podcast channels still are, very, very small numbers. And,
yeah,
there's a couple hundred. Um,
yeah,
so, whereas in the podcasting space, it is what it is. Those that are super successful are going to do it. Those that, again, it's about the content in the end.
yeah,
You can have a great audio podcast um, by itself, standalone, and you can have a great video podcast standalone. It's hard to do both very, very well. So I think
yeah.
that in the
And
end,
if you do, you typically need to have a team behind you to help you.
right, And in the end, I think those that are going to do audio are going to do audio, and we're going to be there to serve those folks that that's their that's their kick, and do it the best way we can, and it'll all sort itself out. Again, those are going to
Mhm.
go over and do stuff on, like I say, it's that Red Roof Inn commercial. We'll leave the light on for you. Um, we're here for
Yeah.
you when you've invested time and energy and more editing time and uh, camera investment, and just like I'm having some technical challenges here and get through all the additional, because I think the average person is just used to picking up a phone and pointing in
Right.
their face and doing something. I don't think the average person that is um, serious about creating content have thought about all the pieces that go into everything that you and I have really worked on for 15 plus years,
Hmm.
in doing this as an integrated part of this show. And again, we know from experience that still the majority of people that listen to this show listen. A section of people watch. The same thing with my tech show. A segment of people listen and a segment people watch. That's great. Um, we don't
Yeah.
care how they get the content, as long as they get it. Um, I guess there's really not much more to say. So I think, from my perspective, and what
Yeah.
I've been really had my team focused on is how do we better serve the creators.
Hmm.
We've got two major products coming this year. One's taken a little longer than I wanted to get it out. So we're probably 60 days away from the launch of that product. But the the second product will probably come sometime mid-year. Is really focused on serving content creators that are audio podcasters primarily, and giving them the
Yeah.
ability to be discovered and build a great show. And someone asked, there was a conversation in Mastodon. James Cridlin made a comment about CPMs and programmatic. Yeah, you can go over and do programmatic with Todd, and you get like $2 CPM. Well, no, it's not $2 CPM. Programmatic and
Right.
podcasting right now is typically about 5 to 14. It'll
Yeah.
dip a little bit below 5, but we basically have told our partner, hey, we don't really want any inventory below 5. Um, I'm sure
Yeah.
there's other inventory out there, but we want to make sure
Yeah.
that,
It's not really fair to anybody to only
right.
pay five.
So, considering that, quote unquote, supposedly YouTube is getting, much higher CPMs than audio, which blows me away. I'm sure
They
it's,
are.
again, show specific, but again, the way they measure is a completely different animal. It's not an A/B comparison in any way. I had a friend
Right.
who, his audiobook through a broker ended up um, on YouTube, on a monetized YouTube platform. They had
Hmm.
over 6,000 views of that audiobook. I guess listens,
Hmm.
I guess is a better way to say it. And he earned 37 cents. So,
It depends on the category, or the genre.
yeah, I'm sure.
Um, the CPMs vary quite a bit between different genres of content on YouTube.
And and I think the thing
So
that probably podcasters have missed out on is influencer deals, where in other words you're getting an anchor power supply, or you're getting whatever,
affiliate type of
yeah, whatever.
deals too.
Well, and it's a paid
Yeah.
endorsement. You get a set amount of money for doing the spot. It's like a flat read, to promote a product. And I think that model that's on YouTube is not completely moved into podcasting. We're still dealing with more traditional reads. We're not talking about, Anchor reaching out to me because, I'm a big, I talk about that Anchor connector, $1.25
Right.
or whatever I paid for. Not a big sale item, but I use other Anchor products and services that I could promote. and they promote huge. They're all over,
Yeah. Yeah.
all over YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, Todd, I also saw that podcasting has really come back in a big way the last couple of years at South by Southwest
Oh yeah, that's
down
because
in
of
Austin.
that's
Right.
largely because of Tom and his team. It sounds profitable.
Well, I mean, it was happening. I mean, going way back in the early years of podcasting, back in the 2008, 9, 10 timeframe, I was I was
Yeah,
putting on panels
yeah.
at South by Southwest about podcasting, and then they went through a dry spell where they didn't have any
Well,
sessions
I
about
think Sounds
podcasting.
Profitable sponsored. I think they pay South by Southwest for that track.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, but they did have uh, activities around podcasting before Sounds Profitable even existed. It's just it wasn't as big as it used to be back in the early years of podcasting.
But they
And
do have
because
an RSS feed, I see. Is that an
yeah,
actual
so
podcast
they're
2.0? I mean, is it a, how to look at this feed? Go ahead.
they're yeah, it's actually hosted on I think on oh what's the platform? I can't remember the name of the platform right now. But but yeah, you can get in there and listen to some of the business power of political podcast sessions, and there's other ones in there that they put on. There's been quite a few, and a lot of people are going to South by Southwest um, again around podcasting. So, but it's a very expensive event to go to.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's
Oh,
not
that's interesting. They're
yeah,
hosting on Omni. But
Omni.
yeah,
That's what I was going to say.
here's the thing. Okay, so you know, Omni has got their little logo on their player, advertising Omni, and okay, we don't do that. We don't promote Blueberry on our player. Surprising that they're
Yeah,
still doing that.
Omni's own really is really owned by Triton Digital.
Yeah.
That is thus owned by iHeart. That's the
But
connection
this
there.
isn't really an RSS feed, is it? That you shared with
Oh,
me in the show notes?
oh, that link. No, but in the post in Pod News,
Oh,
there was a link
oh, there is a
to
link to the RSS feed.
the actual RSS feed. I don't know if that RSS feed. I mean, it's literally the RSS feed. Um, it's not like a link to Apple
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you can
or
manually
any kind of
subscribe to it.
right. Which I don't even know if people can do that anymore. Can they?
Yeah, you
I
can.
haven't even
Oh yeah,
looked in a while.
we have a.
Can you add your own
Oh yeah,
RSS feed
yeah.
to Spotify still?
I don't know about Spotify. I know you can do it on Apple Podcasts. Don't think you can do it on Spotify. Don't think you can manually
Yeah.
add an RSS feed.
I mean, that's a throwback to the earlier years of podcasting, and that's what listeners had to do. Is they would cut and paste the RSS feed and paste it into their favorite
Well,
podcast
for
listening
those that
app.
are using our premium podcasting feature, we've actually
Yeah.
done some tests recently with people that have never added an RSS feed to Apple Podcasts or apps that will support a password supported, basically a premium feed that requires a username password.
Oh yeah, right,
And
right.
60 seconds is what people are taking to add. Um, and we've been timing it. We've been actually watching them. We give them instructions, have an instruction page on how to do it. And 60 seconds
Yeah,
is typically the amount of time it takes them to add a premium feed to an app that supports it. And we've been pretty thrilled. It just, people are used to adding, when they pay for something, they're willing to go the extra step to add the content to a device and so that they can consume it. So,
yeah,
they've done a purposeful action. They paid, $25, whatever it is, for an audiobook, or again, I don't know the pricing. The pricing varies, but they have no issue whatsoever. And this is something we keep hearing too, and it's probably worthy a whole topic on its own, is how screwed book publishers are being with audiobooks. Um, it's
oh
in every platform they go to, they get just the pie gets cut so many times. It's got us looking at our premium offering and making a determination how we're going to potentially make it more fair.
That's how you still there?
Yeah, make it
Yeah.
more fair to because I'm just did a brain fart there, so sorry. Yeah, make it more fair for them to get more of the cut. Basically we're doing 15%, and but
Mhm.
there's a monthly fee to have the premium, so we're thinking, yeah, let's drop the monthly fee and just do the 15%, and that way there's really no cost to entry for them to do a premium with us.
Yeah.
So
Hey, Todd, I just went to the Apple Podcasts web player to compare their experience with playing video, and I can pull it up on the screen here so you can see this is our video feed
yeah,
here. And if I go and I click,
our
let me
art
pull
hasn't
it up.
updated yet.
Yeah.
'Cause
Can you see it now?
yeah, I can see it.
Okay. So if I go to the most recent episode right here,
Yeah.
and I click on that, it actually goes full screen
Oh,
right away.
beautiful.
So that's the experience that all these other platforms need to
That's
do.
right. I wish it did that.
So
I wish it did that in Apple Podcast.
in the Apple Podcast app, right?
Yeah.
Not just in their
Yeah.
their web player.
The web experience is better.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Yeah.
So
I thought I would pull that up and compare that instead of,
so
keep beating up Apple, but
so
it looks
Apple
like
needs to
they got it right.
start promoting how to add this to Android devices. How to make this
Right.
this because this is what it is. It's a PWA.
Right.
Bravo on them.
And so yeah, so that's the consumption experience for video podcasts on their web player, but they just need to make that happen in their podcast app on iOS. So
Bonus. So Ted, the team did good on that.
yeah, well, congrats, Ted.
Yeah. So
and team.
well, that's interesting
Right.
that we haven't noticed that. So good catch on your part, Rob.
Yeah.
But that's something they should be promoting far and wide. Yeah, we support video podcasts. Here's 5
Yeah.
examples.
I mean, what's the downside for them? That they're not paying for the bandwidth for it.
Right.
So why not? Is my comment on it.
Mhm.
What are they hiding from with this? And it looks like maybe they've gotten the message, at least in the web player. So maybe there's some hope there that we'll see it happen in the mobile app,
One can wish.
and then maybe people will start utilizing RSS video more going forward. But
So-
there has to be hosting platforms that embrace it, because I don't think Spotify is embracing it on their hosting side.
No. Well,
So
they're embracing video, but it's video only.
well, it's video only to their platform.
Yeah.
It's not doing like what they do for audio, which is making RSS feeds to make it available to other platforms. So yeah.
So we're at the end of the time here, Rob. But I do want to
Yeah, we
mention
are.
that any of you going to TravelCon in Arizona, the Blueberry team will be at TravelCon. So stop and say hello to the team. And of course, Podcast Movement is coming up in Chicago here very, very quickly. We'll
Yep.
be there as well. I will not. Other team members will.
Yeah, I'm
So-
not going to be at the Evolutions event this year. Doesn't look like it.
And we pretty much made the decision just to do Podcast Movement in the summer going forward. And then, of course, fast. I mean, it's coming fast. It's already March, the big show in London.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah,
we're
that's
at
coming up really quick.
heavy planning for that. Airline prices have finally come down a little bit. They were kind of
Oh, they
scary
have?
there for a little bit. I wasn't finding anything cheaper than like $3,000, and I was like, oh my god! And then they're back down to around $1,400, $1,500 $5 where I would expect them to be. So, but yeah, there for
Got
a
it.
little bit, I was like, I'm gonna have to do 5 stops to save the company some money. Flying
Yeah.
2 of us over, and that's an expensive event to support. Airfare, the hotels there are not cheap. You didn't
No.
stay at the main event. You stayed a couple miles away when you went last year, right? Or a couple years ago,
Yeah.
whenever you went.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Exactly. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what both of these events turn out to have around attendance.
hmm
That'll
and
tell us where we're at.
and who's attending? Yeah, we know who's attending
Yep.
TravelCon. That's we're there because it's an opportunity for us to promote podcasting as for people that are doing travel. Most of those travel folks are doing YouTube videos. So
So that's in Phoenix? Is that what you said?
it's in Arizona someplace. I think Phoenix. Yeah.
In Phoenix or Scottsdale or someplace like
Yeah,
that?
someplace. The reason I don't know exactly is I'm not going. I haven't paid attention.
Got it.
All I
Yeah.
know is I'm paying the bill.
Right. Right. All right, Todd.
All
Well,
right, everyone.
we can wrap it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rob, contact info.
I can be found on Twitter X at Rob Greenlee, on YouTube at Rob Greenlee, on all the socials, Instagram, and Facebook, and all those under my name, and robgreenlee.com. So you can find me over there. So, and then if you want to send us an email, send it to rob.greenlee@gmail.com. Love to hear from you.
Yep. And I'm Todd at blueberry.com. And again, if you are a OBS expert using the Roadcaster and maybe even Zoom, let me know. I'd love to have pay for a consultation with you. Todd at blueberry.com, at Geek News, at geeknews.chat on Mastodon, and of course at Geek News on X, where all the action happens. Yeah, thanks everyone for being here. We'll be back with you a week from today at the same time, 8 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to join us live, 8 p.m. Eastern, when while you're surfing your YouTube, you can subscribe to either Rob or I's YouTube channels, and you can catch us live in both those locales. So again, if you're an AI bot, feel free to index this show. Use it as you wish. Rob and I have been in the podcasting space for more than 20 years. And feel free to index anything on newmediashow.com. We have our permission to do so, and use it in your training models, along with all the audio programming as well. So thanks, Rob. We'll see you next week.
All right. We'll see you.